Okay, we're a day late, but considering there's another game later today, I figured we'd record a quick recap from yesterday. And I'll be honest, I'm glad I waited the day. The game we're recapping is, of course, the Bruins versus Lightning that I've dubbed the Geeky Bowl because we had both Morgan and Connor out there. That game on the 11th of April against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm glad I waited because I think if I made this yesterday, it's the type of video that you'd watch and then you'd be like expecting to find me somewhere in a parking lot. So glad we took the extra time because despite the Bruins, in every sense of the phrase, shitting it down their legs, they've clinched a playoff spot. And it has been like the worst road to clinching that spot maybe ever, where they've been right there. They've needed like one more game and they're in. And then they've literally lost their last 5 games in a row, which I believe now, because somebody else won. Oh no, we're tied with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if that should say everything you need to know about what's going on right now for this Bruins team. So it really just felt like watching this team barely scooted across the line, but we're in the dance. We're back after a year off. Frankly, I have to humble myself and think at the beginning of the year, nobody, myself included, expected that this team could really do anything. I think a lot of people expected this to be like a draft lottery team, and here we are with a clinched wildcard spot. Granted, 2 games to go, and there are a lot of scenarios where we could have clinched earlier, but that's fine. Surprisingly, because we've clinched does not mean that the East is done. There's a bit of movement potentially in that third Metro spot, but because Ottawa and ourselves have 96 points, the whole Atlantic situation's pretty locked up. Every team is locked in, not to their specific spot. So it's really just going to matter in 2 games where everything lines up. We can make some projections of like, okay, so Buffalo's first with 106 in the Atlantic, and then 104 for Tampa Bay and the Canadiens. So that might be a potential first round matchup for them. And then we play, at this point, it'd be the Canes actually. So I'm hoping we can finish in a position that puts us up against the Sabres or the Habs, preferably. I don't like playing Tampa Bay, and I think we can use that as a great transition to the game yesterday, where the Bruins looked so good coming out in the first period. They clearly showed that they had way more rest than Tampa Bay. They were all in the offensive zone, and it also helped that the first whistle in this game was 8 minutes and 25 seconds in, so we got almost 8.5 minutes of uninterrupted hockey where the Bruins had their foot on the gas the whole time. And then pretty much from there on out, it started to slip into a much more even game. And then by period 3, it felt like the ice was tilted in Tampa Bay's favor. But the Bruins had great pressure. It was balanced towards the end of that first period. Swayman was coming up big on the couple of opportunities that we did give up, where the puck was just, there's one instance where the puck just ends up on a guy's stick right in front of the net. Swayman comes up big. Period 2, we get the only excitement for the Bruins, where Morgan Geeky scores on the breakaway, his first breakaway goal all season. He was previously 0 for 6 on the breakaway. They loved throwing that stat out there. As he's skating down the ice, I swear, they're like, oh, by the way, he hasn't scored on a breakaway ever. And he goes top shelf, gets his 38th of the season. McAvoy had a really great heads-up play to not only just keep a forechecker off the puck, he then gets a stretch pass that goes up the ice, finds Geeky all alone, and he's off to the races, beats Vasilevsky. Bruins are up 1-0. They hold on to that 1-goal lead through to the third period. And then finally, the Bruins finally get punished for giving up their 400th breakaway. Brandon Hagel walks in, Swayman gets a piece, but it squeaks through. Don't have a timestamp on that one, but if you can't tell by my writing, the Bruins were really just not playing well by this point, and they were playing very dangerously with that 1-goal lead. And after that goal, I thought, good God, just get to overtime. Because originally I thought as long as we got an overtime point, we'd clinch out of this game. I'm not actually sure if that was true, but none of that really matters now. And the Bruins were playing pretty bad. giving up a lot of opportunities. Swayman was coming up big. And then with a minute 30 left, it happened where Lilleberg just gets a tap in. There's a rebound off of Braden Point's shot that just kind of floats back out, and he tucks it in. Again, a minute and a half left, and you're just like, I feel like I knew it was coming the entire third period, and still it hurt so much. Bruins pull the goalie, then get a penalty 4. So they get 6-on-4 for the last 45 seconds of the game. Doesn't matter. They don't score. And I'm thinking we've blown it. Luckily, down the road, I believe it is the New Jersey Devils who we have to thank for beating the Red Wings in what is an absolute nothing game for the Devils. They came back and scored 2 late in the third period to officially eliminate the Detroit Red Wings from playoff contention, which I do feel really bad about. Detroit's a team that's been right there, very close a couple of times now, and just every season it seems like it ends with them losing when they're right on the cusp. And it was no different for them this year. Everything else is locked up, like I said, besides that third Metro spot. And frankly, I'm going to say it, I hope that Columbus gets in. I would love to see the Islanders because I want to see Schaefer in the playoffs. Philadelphia, I think, is just like, they're not an exciting team to me, and I don't see them making a run, so I don't care. Columbus, I feel like, one, they missed the playoffs, I think, after game 81 last season. And 2, that is a team that has overcome, I think, more adversity than most teams ever have to face with the tragedy of Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. So I would love to see them get into the playoffs, get to play those extra games, see what that team can do. They also have Charlie Quayle, former Bruin, who I feel like left on very good terms. I would love to see him. But that entire Blue Jackets organization team is really fun, and again has just come together in the wake of that. And so I would love to see them get their chance because, again, I have nothing really making me root for Philly. So I would love to see them sneak in. Technically, both the Capitals and the Islanders can still get in. Columbus is at 92 points with the Flyers at 94. So there's a chance they sneak in there. Both have 2 games remaining. I don't know if they play each other at any point. That would be the most important. Columbus plays us today. Kind of the problem with this wishful thinking. So, I mean, I want the Bruins to win because then we get the first wild card, and then we have a better chance of probably playing, again, Buffalo, maybe the Habs. But also I'm already building up the copium of like, oh, well, if we lose, it's okay because then it means Columbus might get in. So Columbus plays us, then Washington. So do with that information what you will. And then who do the Flyers have to play? Let's find out. Flyers are playing Carolina and Montreal. Okay, so those are 2 very losable games if you are the Flyers. So perhaps the dreams are still alive for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then Islanders, I feel like they lost a big one yesterday. Yeah, they lost to Ottawa 3-0. That's tough. They got blanked by Linus Ullmark. So shout out Linus Ullmark. And then, okay, the Islanders play Montreal and then Carolina. So that'll do that. Blue Jackets play us in Washington. So you know what? Go Blue Jackets. I'll say it. Maybe not today. Or if we get overtime, get us a point. Get us ahead of the Sens. I don't like the Sens. I like Ullmark. I don't like any team that has a Kachuk on it. So I'm not really rooting for them. That's all I got. Again, this would have been a much more catastrophic recording had it been done right after the game yesterday. But I figured not only for the perception of my mental health, but also after they lost, I'm like, I think we can still get in. So that kind of helped with how badly this team is playing. Maybe they'll find it today. Maybe they don't. I think we play the Devils. Good God, just please be the Devils. Like, end the season on a win. You always talk about your team getting hot at the right time. The Bruins are getting ice cold at the wrong time. So let's see if they can figure it out here, because they've gone on a couple skids this season, and their skids are usually followed by them really heating up, but there's no more important time to heat up than the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we will probably have a breakdown maybe of the Columbus game. I might just wait until Columbus and New Jersey are done, because then we'll have the playoff picture. We will fully know where everybody lands. I think the playoffs start next Saturday. So 6 days from now. And in between, we'll have like a whole, I'll probably dive into who we're playing against and kind of talk about matchups there in a little bit more detailed manner than these kind of formal breakdowns. So that's a lot of rambling for a game where I had not a lot of notes, but the Bruins are in the dance. They've been playing like shit, but we still somehow get there, which makes it feel a little bit less exciting than this like heroic stride over the finish line, but we'll take it. We get to play, well, at least 4 more games, so we'll take that. Anyways, we will catch you with some sort of recap probably after the next 2 games before playoffs start.